I found this old painted dresser for $75 on Facebook Marketplace. I already knew what was likely hiding under the layers of blue paint, but now it's time to see. I've been asked before, how do I seem to always find these bright painted furniture pieces? Well, I've been collecting these for years, searching thrift stores, antique shops, and Facebook Marketplace from Wisconsin to the East Coast, and most of the time, I have a collection of 10 to 15 painted pieces in storage waiting for restorations. My restoration projects are carefully chosen for what I feel is the right time. I've been hanging on to this dresser for more than 2 years, and truthfully, it's because I was dreading these veneer repairs. There's still a very special place in my heart for this furniture line and its history. For that reason, now is the right time to share that story and to finally peel back the layers of paint, repair the damage, and do my best to start over again. One of the first major steps is to remove the paint with a chemical stripper. For me, the hardest part by far with any major transformation is just getting started, but once I find a rhythm, each new step in the process begins to feel achievable. This paint remover is usually effective in about 15 minutes, and I know it's ready to scrape when I can wipe it back with my finger. I'll remove most of the paint with a plastic spatula, being sure to scrape mostly in the direction of the wood grain. Although I try to do this slowly and carefully, sometimes I still make a mistake, even chipping small parts of the veneer, but this is something I'll fix later. This all gets collected in old paint cans and disposed of at the city waste site. I'll wipe away as much as possible with shop rags, then I'll neutralize the paint stripper with mineral spirits before scrubbing this with No. 2 steel wool. This next revelation did not come as a surprise this time. I certainly knew what to expect. This is a detailed veneer inlay dovetail design. Both of these pieces of wood are just thin layers of veneer. Notice the stark contrast between the lighter ash on the outside against the darker walnut veneer on the rest of the drawer front. I spent several hours scrubbing back as much paint as possible. I don't think I've ever stripped a painted furniture piece and not still seen some evidence of paint still in the fibers of the wood, so I'll need to do something about this. I'll tell you right now what I know this to be, a piece that was made by the Lane Furniture Company in the 1960s out of Alta Vista, Virginia. I've been to the site of the old factory many times and owned at least 40 to 50 of these furniture pieces from the Acclaim line. You know, the notorious dovetail inlay design made famous by Dutch designer Andre Bus for Lane Furniture. Another noticeable design feature from this line was the black tips at the base of the tapered legs. These pieces were mass-produced by the millions and made to be affordable. Some of the unique pieces from this line can be valuable, like the cedar chest, the extended coffee table, or the dining table. But if you're looking for just the end tables or step tables, it shouldn't be difficult to still find them for less than $200 each. What I find to be more interesting is the unique opportunity to discover and hopefully respectfully preserve another piece of history. I shared in a recent community post how I've slowly taken control of things in my life that were never really important to me. But many of those small things have become part of a healthier daily routine for me. I'm grateful for the continued support from Dreo, making these restoration videos possible. This smart humidifier by Dreo has become an essential part of my daily routine, making my home more comfortable in ways I never expected. Whether it's battling dry indoor air during the winter or keeping my space feeling fresh year-round, this humidifier helps maintain the perfect balance of moisture. Its long-lasting 6-liter water tank means I don't have to refill it constantly. I've been using this daily for several months, and one of the biggest benefits I've noticed is how it improves my breathing and sleep quality. I no longer wake up with a dry throat or stuffy nose. I believe that it also helps protect my wood furniture from cracking due to dryness, which is a huge plus for anyone who cares about restoration and preservation. The quiet operation makes it ideal for nighttime use. Plus, the smart features let me easily control the humidity levels through the Dreo app, Google Home, or Alexa. Overall, the Dreo humidifier has made my home a much more comfortable and healthier place to live. You can find this Dreo humidifier in the video description, and my viewers can take advantage of the spring sales by enjoying 17% off all Dreo products with my discount code MadCityModern. Thank you, Dreo, for making this video possible. I found that a wider version of a fine brass brush actually removed the paint that was still stuck in the wood fibers across all the drawer fronts and the body of the dresser. We're in the final months of the winter season here in Wisconsin, so it can be depressing working in the limited shop space with all the doors closed. Sometimes I enjoy these late nights working in silence, while other nights I choose to listen to encouraging music or podcasts to pass the time. I'm curious if you prefer to work alone, or if you enjoy having company. Besides the missing veneer pieces, you may notice missing parts of the substrate as well. This will help make my decision regarding the repairs. The mineral spirits will evaporate quickly, but I decided to let everything dry overnight and get a fresh start in the morning. I have to be honest, I didn't feel like working in the shop today, and that happens sometimes. I'm sure it's normal, but I'll discuss that more in a moment. There are 2 ways to fix the veneer damage. Cut out new strips and glue them on, or fill this with wood putty. This time, I chose to use a wood putty since there are several detailed areas to be patched. As I apply this, I'll add a little water to keep the putty from sticking to my fingers. Once it has had a chance to set up for a few minutes, I'll trim the excess with a utility blade. These repairs are without question a test of my patience and of my confidence. This isn't my area of expertise, but I've faced these challenges before. Sometimes I've failed miserably, but other times I've learned from and improved my skills. I think the hardest part is often finding a way to be thankful for these challenges. For me, it's to be thankful for the opportunity to share this work with others. I'll take a moment to glue this section of veneer that I damaged while scraping. Then I'll scrape some of the leftover paint before preparing to sand this dresser. So what's it like working in the shop alone every day? In other words, I'll try and explain my restoration journey in a way that might be relatable. Every day brings new challenges. Some challenges we choose to face, taking them head on with complete confidence and with a renewed energy. Other challenges come our way, and we never asked for them, nor do we wish to address them. They don't seem fair, but we are left with a difficult decision: work through the challenge, or give up and face the consequences. It's so difficult not knowing how things will turn out or what the future looks like, but I've written down these words. I don't know whose words these are, but they have been a constant reminder to me. I only know what my future holds if I quit, and that is failure. To some, this might sound like I'm on a tangent about something deep and depressing, and no, I'm not planning to quit. It's quite the opposite. The way this dresser turns out in the end won't likely have an impact on anyone's daily life, but if I can use this platform to share more of the life lessons I've learned through each restoration project, perhaps those thoughts will encourage others through their own journey. There's a small dent in one of the drawer fronts, making this difficult to sand. If I sand it like this, I would probably burn through the veneer, so the best way I know how to raise the grain is with an iron and a damp white linen. I'll pass over this area with the iron for no more than 5 to 10 seconds at a time. This should continue to raise the grain, and it certainly did in this case. There was also significant damage to the edge of one drawer front. I'm not sure I'll be able to fix this completely, but I think I can make it a little better by using the iron again. There are many areas on this dresser where using 150 grit sandpaper and the 3x4 Surf Prep Power Sander will make light work of the sanding without causing damage. Continuing to use this power sander aggressively will certainly cause damage to the thin veneer, so I'll need to do most of the final sanding by hand. Sometimes what appears to be damage is often just the natural imperfections in the wood grain, or even marks from the milling process. It often requires discipline to leave these imperfections alone and not continue sanding them. I took a few minutes to sand and refresh the backside of this dresser. I'll also add a few nails where they were missing. These soft, sponge-like sanding pads are designed to conform to the unique profiles of cabinets, or in this case, many furniture pieces. I use this adjustable hydraulic cart with just about every project, and now I'm easily able to access the base of this dresser. All that's required is to tighten all the screws. I won't attempt to remove this since it's also glued in place. The Surf Prep sander does most of the hard work here, but I'll finish sanding by hand with a sanding sponge. Many of you were probably ahead of me on this step. I never should have used wood putty. It didn't dry after 2 days. Instead, I should have used a wood filler, so I'll need to remove all this and start over again. This water-based, non-shrinking wood filler should dry within a few hours, and I should also be able to stain it and sand it. After just 30 minutes, I can already see this drying, but I'll let this piece sit overnight and work on the rest of the sanding in the morning. For the remainder of the sanding, I'll use 180 grit, then 220 grit. I'll mostly use this hand sanding block that has a rigid side and a soft side. Although none yet perfected, I have learned many of these refinishing tips by reading this new book by Aaron Moore, Revive and Refine. He's been refinishing museum quality furniture for more than 20 years, and he shares every step of the refinishing process in this incredible book. Aaron is a friend of mine, and we speak often, so I'd encourage you to check out his YouTube channel, Revive and Refine, where he shares daily videos about restoring furniture professionally. Let's see if we can get his new channel over 1,000 subscribers, and let him know I sent you. I thought of this often throughout the project. What finishes would I apply? Something that would have more of a stark contrast between the walnut and the ash, or something closer to the original dark factory finish? I decided on something in between, a stain that would help make this piece more universal and still highlight the beautiful contrast between the two species mentioned. I'll apply this oil-based stain with a foam brush and wipe it back with shop rags within seconds of the application. This looks a little red when being applied, but it yields a nice light walnut color once wiped back. Thick coats of finish were applied in the factory not only to provide durability, but also to hide some of the so-called imperfections. I've learned to embrace them, and you may see some in the final reveal. To achieve a factory finish, you likely need to apply a vinyl sealer, a glaze, several coats of toner, and then a final top coat. My shop isn't set up for spraying during this season, but I'll show you what that looks like on this snack table I refinished years ago to use as a reference. This is a natural hard wax finish compared to several clear polyurethane finishes, and this is closer to a traditional factory finish. This is a candlelight gel stain, which I think is too dark. Once the spring and summer months arrive, I'll hopefully be able to spray finishes like this with the HVLP sprayer. I'll use a small brush and this oil-based protective enamel to paint the tips of the legs black. I've never done this before, but I'm going to use vinyl sealer, blend-all sticks, and some grain pens to try and blend the wood filler. It didn't turn out quite like I had hoped, but I'll continue to practice. Ideally, there are 3 colors you want to match: the background color, the foreground color, and the grain color. I'll use these sticks to create streaks, then smear with my fingers, adding a sealer over each new color. The last step is to try and use the grain pens to match the grain patterns. This is certainly where I need the most improvement. The Mohawk protective finishes are superior, but I'll work with what I have available at the moment. I'll apply several coats of this clear lacquer over the entire dresser, sanding each coat lightly in between with a fine sanding sponge. Looking back on this journey, there are many things I could have done better. I'll be keeping this dresser for now, and there are flaws I'll likely need to revisit, but this season is over for now. The refining process is never easy, and I'm trusting this will only continue to prepare me for the new challenges ahead. I'll leave you with these thoughts. No matter what mess we find ourselves in, there is a way out. The easy way would have just been to repaint this dresser, continuing to mask the flaws, but the better option requires patience and hard work. It's good to be with you again, and I look forward to seeing you in the comments section. I always appreciate your words of encouragement. My name is Barry, and thank you for joining me. Goodbye for now.